6 weeks ago, I asked you to come home to yourself. I didn't know when I said that how many layers home actually had. I didn't know we'd slow all the way down before we could hear anything true, that we'd have to drop into the body before the mind would stop arguing, that we have to look at our lineage before we could understand which parts of us were even ours to begin with. The depth of practice would ask more of us than a 5-minute meditation ever could. That inner authority would mean disappointing people who liked us better small. And now, here we are at the last door. And the last door doesn't ask you to do anything at all. It just asks you to stop holding so tight. Welcome back to Aligned and Abundant, the podcast that helps you align your soul, manifest your dreams, and love your life. I'm Christine Marcario, intuitive spiritual teacher, Reiki master, and your guide through this 6-part series called The Return. And today we close the loop. Before we get there, though, I want to tell you something I don't say often enough. You were never meant to do this part, the surrendering part, alone. This is exactly why I built the Soul Shine Collective and why our top tier is called Abundant. Because there's a version of this work that happens in isolation, in your own head, on your own timeline, with no one to reflect you back to yourself. And then there's a version that happens in community, where you're held while you let go, where someone notices when you're gripping something you said you released. If any part of this series has stirred something in you, the collective is where the something gets to keep unfolding. Aligned, abundant, there's a tier for wherever you are. Link in the show notes. Come sit with us. Okay, let's talk about surrender. I want to walk you back through the whole journey for a second because I don't think you're supposed to see the shape of it until now. We started in episode 58 by slowing down, building sacred mornings and nightly rituals because you cannot hear your soul over the noise of a life lived at full speed. Then in episode 59, we dropped into the body, somatic wisdom, because your mind will lie to you to keep you safe, but your body never does. In episode 60, we looked backward at what got handed down to us, ancestral patterns, and we learned that healing yourself is never just for you alone. Episode 61 asked you to go deeper into practice, past the point where it feels good, into the place where it actually changes you. And episode 62 was inner authority, trusting your own knowing without needing anyone's permission slip but your own. Slow down, feel it, understand where it came from. Deepen the practice, trust yourself. Do you see it? That's not 5 separate lessons. That's a spiral, a tightening, getting closer and closer to one single point. And today, we arrive at the point. Last month, I sat down to plan this exact episode, and I could not figure out what to write. I had an outline. I had my Word document open. I had done this 5 times already about this series. I know how to write an episode, but I sat there for longer than I want to admit, cursor blinking, and absolutely nothing landing. And finally, I did the thing I teach you to do and so rarely remember to do myself, stopped trying to force it. And I asked my body what was actually going on. And what came up surprised me. I realized I didn't want this series to end. 6 weeks of showing up every single Tuesday, going deeper each time, watching so many of you messaging me saying, this one wrecked me in the best way. It had become its own container, its own sacred rhythm. And some part of me was gripping the outline, gripping the structure, gripping the doing, because as long as I was still writing it, it wasn't over yet. Which is, of course, hilarious because the entire final lesson of this series is surrender. And there I was, white knuckling my way through writing the episode about letting go. The irony. The universe has a sense of humor sometimes. So I closed my laptop, I sat on the floor, and I let myself feel the actual grief of an ending, because endings, even good ones, even ones you created on purpose, are still allowed to be grieved. And on the other side of that grief was the whole episode waiting for me. It had been there the whole time. I just couldn't hear it while I was gripping so tightly. That's surrender. It's not giving up, it's opening your hand to receive. Here's what I need you to understand about surrender, because I think it's the most misunderstood word in this work. Surrender does not mean passivity. It does not mean you stop taking aligned action, stop showing up for your life, stop caring about outcomes. Surrender is not lying down in the road and waving your white flag. Surrender means you stop needing to control how things arrive. You still want the relationship. You still want the money. You still want the career pivot. You take the aligned action. You send the email. You have the hard conversation. You show up to the practice we talked about in episode 61, but you release your grip on the timeline, the method, the shape of what shows up, the how. That's the whole shift. It is not your job to figure out the how. It is your job to set it in motion, let it go, and trust. That is true surrender. So we're letting go from, I have to make this happen exactly like this, by this date, in this way, to, I am doing my part and I trust the rest. The second sentence is where your nervous system actually gets to rest. That first sentence is where you've been living, maybe for years. And here's the piece that ties every single episode of this series together. You cannot surrender what you haven't first slowed down enough to feel, felt fully enough in your body to understand, traced back far enough to know it isn't even yours, practiced with deeply enough to trust, and claimed authority over enough to release by choice rather than exhaustion. Surrender is not the opposite of everything we've done this series. Surrender is what everything we've done this series was building toward. This is exactly the work I do on one-on-one with clients, helping you find the actual difference between giving up and letting go. Because from the outside, they can look identical, but from the inside, they feel completely different. If you've been doing this series solo and you're realizing you want a hand to hold you while you practice this in real life, one-on-one coaching with me might be your next aligned step. And if community feels more like your medicine right now, the Soul Shine Collective is there too. Both doors are open. You get to choose the one that feels right. I want to leave you with something you can actually do, not just something to think about. It's simple. I call it the open hand practice, and you can do it anywhere. Think of the thing you're gripping right now. You know exactly what it is. It came to your mind the second I said gripping. Maybe it's an outcome, a person, a timeline, a version of yourself you're trying to force into being. Now, physically make a fist. Physically make a fist. Squeeze it tight. Hold it for 5 full seconds and really feel what gripping cost your body. The tension climbing up your forearm, into your shoulder, maybe even into your jaw. Then slowly open your hand. As you open it, say out loud or in your mind, I am doing my part. I release the how. That's it. That's the whole practice. But do it every time you catch yourself white-knuckling something this week and watch what happens. Your body learns surrender faster than your mind ever will. This is a somatic wisdom from episode 59, showing back up right when you need it. So here's the truth about the return that I couldn't have told you back in episode 58 because you needed to walk the whole thing first to actually hear it. The return was never about arriving somewhere. It was never a 6-week program with a finish line and a certificate. The return is not a place you get to and then you're done. The return is the practice itself. It's slowing down again and again every time life speeds you back up. It's dropping into your body again and again every time your mind tries to hijack the wheel. It's remembering your lineage again and again every time an old pattern resurfaces. It's deepening your practice again and again every time it starts to feel easy and you're tempted to coast. It's trusting your own authority every single time the world tries to hand you someone else's opinions as if they were your own. And it's opening your hand again and again every time you catch yourself gripping. You don't complete the return, you live the return. And every single time you catch yourself drifting from yourself and you find your way back, that's not failure. That's the whole practice, working exactly as it's supposed to. So here's your permission slip, and it's the last one of this series. You are allowed to be a work in progress and still be whole. You are allowed to still be practicing surrender and still be someone who has already surrendered so much. You don't have to arrive to be worthy of the life you're building. You just have to keep coming home. Your action step this week: find one thing you're gripping. Do the open hand practice with it today, right now, if you can. And then notice, really notice what it feels like to take your aligned action and let the rest go. And I have to tell you, next week, we're doing something a little different. And I'm so excited for you to hear it. I'm sitting down with the incredible Kelsey Aida for a guest episode that is going to hit different after everything we've just walked through together. Kelsey brings a perspective I know you're going to love. And honestly, it feels like the perfect exhale after 6 weeks of deep work. You're not going to want to miss this one, I promise you. Thank you for walking every single step of the return with me. 6 episodes, 6 doors, 1 long practice and exhale. If this series moved something in you, I'd be so grateful if you shared it with someone who needs to hear it, or left a review so more soul-led women can find their way here. Until next time, open your hand, trust the timing, and keep coming home to yourself. And lastly, if you are not already subscribed to my newsletter, I highly recommend that you get in there ASAP because I have a big announcement this week. You can find all the links to everything aligned and abundant in the show notes. Remember, you are more powerful than you know. This is Aligned and Abundant. I'm Christine Marcario. Bye for now.